fact, if you read the book Spy the Lie, which I believe we have right over here, for those of you who want to raid Amazon, right, Spy the Lie, really, really good book. I really enjoyed this book. Another book that you want to focus on is called Telling Lies by Dr. Paul Ekman. Spy the Lie, and it's by Phil Houston, Michael Floyd, and Susan Carnicero. Anything by Stan Tenen is very, very good. But once we understand the big picture, and that's where I'm kind of going with this. In 2 hours, I can give you just enough to get you in trouble, right? If we understand, when we look at a dynamic, if I'm talking to this gentleman and we're face to face, we're good, right? But remember, the reptile brain runs towards pleasure and away from pain. If I'm really into this conversation, I'm really connected with him, what am I going to do? Without, in that non-gay way, right? I'm going to find some way to metaphorically or physically close the distance between us, right? He asks something that makes me have to think and dissociate from the interaction. I'm going to physically or metaphorically distance myself from the interaction. Does that make sense? If I can't distance myself, I'm going to impose a barrier. A barrier can be an arm, an appendage. It can be a torso turn. It can be an object. You will see this many times. It's also a dating, a very powerful dating concept when I teach the 7 stages of attraction. One of the things that's constantly happening in that dynamic is the woman is leading the dance through most of the mating dance. You can always tell when they're going to be defensive or they're not sure about you yet, because they'll turn their chair around and do this. Okay? Now I like to do this just because I like that little screen. Some people wear sunglasses. But remember, any symbolic barrier is an indication of I'm not ready to trust you yet. I'm not ready to open up to you yet. Right? But everything that I'm sharing with you now presupposes, it assumes that A, you're in control of your state. You're focusing primarily on what's not matching up in their story. You're ignoring what's true. Got it? You're tuned in and you're sighted in. You're paying attention to what they're doing visually and what's coming out of their mouth. That being said, these things will tend to jump out at you. Okay? The eyes are very expressive. Okay? Many times, does everybody here know the difference between how to detect a false smile versus a real smile? Yeah. Raise your hands if you do know. If you don't, I'm going to explain it. Okay? There's this thing we call a Duchenne smile. It's an organic, natural smile. Best place to see this in action is watching politicians and actors when they're going in and out of places. Because you'll see this. And there's nothing from the nose up. When you see an actual, legitimate, happy to see you, I'm in a good place smile, the little crow's feet around the orbital bones and around the zygomatic bone, actually, will crinkle. That's when you know you've got a legitimate smile.